Imagine landing on an island in the North Atlantic, 1100 years ago. Winter is coming, and it will be long, dark, and bitterly cold. You need to build a shelter that can keep you alive. But the thin birch woods that existed upon arrival are already being cut away for fuel and grazing, and there is no usable building stone to spare for full masonry walls. You have almost none of the two materials humans usually build with: timber and stone. So what do you use to build a house? The Icelanders found an answer out of absolute necessity. They built out of the only thing they had in limitless abundance: the ground itself. The wood they did have came primarily from driftwood washed onto the rocky shores, supplemented by whatever timber they could trade for from abroad. Because it was so precious, this timber was spent carefully. It was rationed exclusively to create a slender internal skeleton of posts, beams, and rafters. That fragile wooden frame serves one strict purpose: to carry the weight of the roof. It offers no protection from the elements. The job of stopping the wind and holding in the warmth has to come from something else entirely. The walls are made of turf, blocks of volcanic soil bound together by a dense mat of living grass roots, cut directly from the meadow with a spade. These blocks are stacked in double layers off a low footing of flat stones, creating walls that routinely measure a meter thick, and in some places reach closer to 2. That immense mass of earth, combined with the air trapped within the root systems, serves as a remarkable barrier against the freezing climate. More turf is laid over the timber rafters, and the grass continues to grow. This living layer actively sheds rain and steadies the temperature underneath. A thick envelope of soil, it turns out, maintains a far more stable and warmer interior than the thin wooden dwellings of the same era. But Earth presents a severe engineering challenge. Pile up wet soil, and rain should cause it to slump and dissolve into a heap within a single season. To prevent this, they cut the turf into geometric shapes, primarily a wedge block called the klumbrunaus. Laid in an alternating herringbone pattern, this weave forces the roots to knit tightly, creating a structure that sheds water outward without any mortar. If you like seeing a building taken apart like this, reading the design back to the reasons it exists, that is exactly what we do here. Subscribing is how the next video finds you. By combining natural root structures with precise cutting techniques, a fragile pile of dirt becomes a durable, highly stable wall. The layout of the home had to match the efficiency of the walls. Building a single, large hall would create an unmanageable volume of air to heat. This diagram shows the solution. Instead of one open space, the layout breaks apart into a tight cluster of small connected rooms. By sharing internal walls and narrowing the passageways, they heavily restrict heat loss. At the center of this cluster is the botstofa. This was the hub where the entire household gathered to work, spin wool, and sleep through the long winter nights, and it was kept the warmest room of all. In some farms, they maximize this efficiency by building the botstofa directly over the cowshed. The body heat from the animals below would rise through the floorboards to warm the people above. In an environment that aggressively saps energy, absolute survival meant capturing every available calorie, down to the breath of the livestock. Today, we view building materials as resources to extract. We quarry stone, mill timber, fire brick, and haul it all to a construction site. The Icelandic torfbær represents the opposite philosophy. It's a house constructed out of the living ground, maintaining a physical connection to the meadow around it. Because the material is organic, it requires constant maintenance. Over a span of decades, sections of the walls and roof degrade and are methodically rebuilt using fresh cuts from the adjacent fields. And when a turf house is finally abandoned, the roof sags, the walls slump, and the entire structure simply biodegrades back into the earth. This was an advanced, climate-tuned dwelling. For generations, Icelanders survived through a deep understanding of local ecology and thermal mass. When there are no forests to log and no stone to quarry, the earth itself becomes the wall. This is how the world builds. What is a building you have seen made entirely from materials found right on the site? Tell us in the comments.